My voice is reverberating in the piano. That's cool. I had something come through today. Well, it actually kind of came through yesterday, and then I was reminded of it today. But as I show up for these posts, what I'm noticing, I've been kind of reflecting on the nature of the post itself and what this is all about for me. And I think there are two kind of thoughts that hopefully I can communicate to you with some level of clarity. But the first one is I've noticed over the last I'd say 2 or 3 months or so, the back half or the first half of my committed time period, that I'll sometimes either I'll get to the time of day when I sort of have to do my post because it's bedtime, or I just have a window in the day and that's my chance to sort of take the time and the space to do this and connect with you and connect with myself. And it happens occasionally, not very often actually, but occasionally that I'll get to that moment and not know what I'm going to say. And I'm like, oh. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm going. I don't actually have. I have no. Not that I prepare every day at all, but I'd say most days I have a flash at some point during the day, and I'm like, oh, that's going to be it. And some days I just roll up here and I have no clue. And on those days, what I've noticed, what's coming through is there's this like space that I open. And I simply step into it. And what's amazing to me, what's the kind of maybe the primary miracle that I'm experiencing from this whole process, is that if I step into that space and really do it, really go there, then all of a sudden, instantly, there's something to say. And instantly, there's something, on probably varying levels, but something profound, something meaningful, something that actually really does take me out of the ordinary of my day and my life and connect me with something deeper. And there's what's happening is like there's this, it's almost like a kind of faith that I feel like is being built. It's like I'm starting to believe that even on those days, I'm starting to know, even on those days when I'm like, oh, I have no idea what, maybe that's it. Maybe 183 posts is just it, and there's nothing left. Even on those days, I'm starting to realize it's not about what I think I'm here to do. It's actually about connecting to something so much larger than myself and allowing it to happen. And then I get to receive that, even as I'm also kind of giving it onward to you. I'm also creating the space in myself to be the recipient of that. And that's such a huge thing to acknowledge and recognize, because again, this comes back to my kind of desire to structure things, and I think maybe a kind of universal human desire to want to know what we're going to do. And learning, and again, this is the time frame of this post is kind of perfect, because again, I've just crossed the halfway point, but essentially I still feel like I'm doing this forever. It's not like 182 days left is like a countdown that I can actually perceive what the end is going to be. I'm just doing it for the foreseeable future. And I very deliberately chose a time frame that was going to be like that, where I wouldn't have any sense of like, oh, here I am. Like, I'm at the halfway point, but I can't even really tell what that means, because it's been 6 whole months, and it's going to be another 6 whole months. So, so in other words, there's no escape from that feeling of maybe there's nothing left. When I get to that point on days, and again, this really doesn't happen very often, and it's happening even less now that I've had this kind of epiphany about it all. But there's this way that the time frame being so really kind of it's not something I can wrap my head around and tick off boxes. Now that I am building this faith, this sense of like, I know something's going to come through. I do not have to. I'm just not afraid. I'm just not worried. It's like I've learned. I'm gaining a lesson that I didn't even know I was going to gain by choosing a time frame this long. Yeah, it is kind of like jazz. It's kind of like that feeling of like, it's kind of like that. I think this, again, I'm just kind of looking at the choices I've made in my life. I studied jazz, first of all, because the music blew my mind. And the artists that performed jazz piano were like kind of seminal experiences I had listening to them. But also because I think it's a space. Jazz is a space. There's nothing. You have a tune. You have 12 bars. In the case of a blues, you have whatever the number of bars is of the tune, and those bars are just a space to say something. And that's amazing to me. It's amazing to me what's happening, and how I think I'm highlighting and trying to make conscious for myself one of the benefits of doing this, and one of the kind of unexpected blessings of it, because I'm receiving, consistently a kind of sense of this presence, and ultimately a lot of it hinges on the connection that I feel with all of you who are listening and watching these, and the way that they've become a dialogue with all of you. I definitely feel like they're happening in dialogue. This is not just the thoughts in my head anymore. There's this kind of, there's a conversation happening. And so in a conversation, it's okay that I don't show up every day and know exactly what I'm going to say. It wouldn't be a conversation if I did. But I suppose this is all just, maybe my takeaway from it is just an appreciation for all of you, an appreciation for, I do kind of feel like I've done a good thing for myself by making this commitment, and by showing up every day and letting this come through me. So thank you, folks. Much love. Appreciate you as always. I can't wait to see you very soon.